With a deep red glow all around, a warrior stands there, eyes lit up like he's straight out of a nightmare. He's got his sword in a tight grip, looking ready to take anyone down, and sparks are flying everywhere. His fists started glowing with energy, crackling so loud that everyone knew things were about to get real. The guy covered in flames just charged in, moving way faster than anyone expected. Everyone watching couldn't believe what they were seeing as he exhaled, steam rolling out of his mouth. Out of nowhere, this dude steps in front of him, holding a fan and looking all cold and serious. He cuts him off and basically throws shade, calling him out for pretending to be some big-shot elder when he's actually just a fake. The fighter just snaps and goes after the young scholar, roasting him for being nothing more than some random researcher who doesn't know anything. 1 second, everything was normal. Then, out of nowhere, blood splattered all over as the fighter went down. The soldiers right by the young scholar moved fast, blocking the attack and shutting it down before anyone could react. The huge guy hits the ground, blood everywhere. The young scholar just stands over him, face totally blank. The smell of blood hangs in the air, making the whole place feel off. Rain started coming down hard, soaking everything and slowly washing the blood off the ground. The smell in the air faded as the young man walked away from the battlefield. He wasn't your average scholar. He was born with something special, the kind of gift that boosted all 5 senses way past normal. This kind of talent pops up maybe once in a century, way beyond what normal people can even imagine. He can basically see right through heavy rain, picking out the tiny details on a far-off palace like it's nothing. He can notice even the tiniest drop of water hit the ground, like his senses are dialed all the way up. He's out in the rain, just doing his thing, while the 2 guards following him start roasting him. They call him the unlucky scholar, always messing around in the Muram Alliance and making their lives harder when all they want is to chill. One of the guys gets a little annoyed because the scholar keeps moving around and messing with their chill mealtime. His buddy gives him a hard time, joking about whether the scholar can even hear them. The other guy just shrugs it off, pointing out that the rain's coming down hard. No way anyone can hear anything in this weather. He thinks they should just dip. The truth is, he actually hears everything. Even with heavy rain pouring down and making a ton of noise, he can still catch sounds from far away. Out of everything supernatural about him, what really sets him apart is his insane insight. It's honestly the scariest thing he's got. His mind jumps back to when he was 19, fresh off passing the civil service exams. Back then, he just figured he was ahead of the game, probably smarter than most people around him. After he started working at the inspection office in the Muram Alliance, he spent some time digging through old records. That's when it finally hit him. He actually had the heavenly military body. He could look at a combat manual once and just get it, picking up everything with zero sweat. This made him super confident in his skills. Dude basically acted untouchable. But running into the real world of the Jung-Hu, with all its boss-level fighters and crazy monsters, snapped him out of it real quick. He caught on fast that having his kind of skills would put a target on his back, and honestly, he'd rather chill with a good book than mess around with fighting. He chose to keep what he could really do on the down low, not letting anyone see what he was actually capable of. He had no clue what was coming next or where his life was headed. Right now, he's standing in this huge palace, thinking about his mom more than usual today. Out of nowhere, someone speaks up and asks if he's Cheon, pointing out that the Namgung clan leader called for him. Namgung Hawk, the head of the clan, steps up with this serious look and a blue glow around him. Everyone knows him as one of the 3 Swords of Heaven, a title the whole world gave him because of how insane his skills are. The leader steps up in front of him, blue energy crackling all around. The whole hall feels tense, like everyone's holding their breath. That energy just takes over the place, making it feel both awesome and kind of intimidating. Cheon's whole body tensed up, almost like the leader could see right through him, picking apart every thought he tried to hide. He couldn't figure out why someone that important would pay attention to a guy like him. The Namgung clan leader jumps right into talking, not wasting any time with small talk. The young scholar sits there, his face looking pretty down and serious, kind of stressing if the clan leader somehow figured out what's really going on with his body. But then, out of nowhere, the leader just switches things up and asks for something unexpected. He straight up asks the guy to fix his youngest son and make him act like a real person, obviously calling out how the kid's been messing up. Cheon didn't see that coming. He started explaining he'd already looked into it, kinda caught off guard by how straightforward the ask was. The leader steps in and cuts him off, saying he'd already heard from the inspection commander about how sharp this guy was, plus how he turned around one of the Alliance's top troublemakers before. Cheon wants to clear things up, trying to let everyone know that what went down with young Master Peng So-un wasn't what it looked like. It was just a mess-up, nothing serious. The leader doesn't even bother listening to the excuses. He goes straight for Cheon's biggest weakness, showing he already knows Cheon ditched the whole palace life just to save up cash for his mom's treatment. The leader puts out his offer. If the guy joins him, he promises to help cure his mom. Sean's face shifted, getting serious and a little down when someone brought up his mom being sick. It hit him that her sickness isn't something easy to fix. The leader, totally sure of himself, tells him to bring her over to the clan. The plan is for their top doctor, the divine physician, to check her out in person. Cheon hears the name divine physician and just freezes. He can't believe someone that important is actually here. Meanwhile, the leader just grins, clearly in control of the whole situation. The leader lays down one rule: his youngest son has to start acting normal for once. He promises that once the mission's done, Shane can go wherever he wants, doesn't matter if it's Hanlim Academy or the Imperial Palace. Cheon's mind started racing. He thought about how landing this would mean killing it in his career and finally getting his mom help from the top doctor. He gets this serious, intense look in his eyes when he takes on the mission. No matter how wild that kid acts, he's determined to set him straight and teach him how to be a decent person. Somewhere else, a wild dude totally loses it, yelling at a maid as water sprays all over her face. He gets pretty annoyed when she shows up with a bowl of water instead of the wet towel he asked for. His reaction is way over the top, making it clear he's not happy about it. He lifts his hand like he's about to smack her, blaming her for messing up his focus right before his match and throwing out insults, calling her trash. Right then, Cheon slipped into the room without making a sound, catching the angry guy off guard. As soon as the young man spots him, he starts messing with him, pretty much assuming from how he looks that this guy must be the new writing teacher. Cheon nods, so the guy just sits there, kinda bored, thinking about why his dad keeps sending these random scholars his way. The guy flashes a sly grin and starts trash-talking Cheyenne, calling her basic and not worth anyone's time. Cheon just grins, tossing out what the patriarch said about his son, basically calling him clueless and pointing out all his weak spots. The guy loses it, slamming his fist down on the table so hard it rattles, then just yells right in the new kid's face. Cheon just stands there, totally unfazed by the outburst. He notices how the guy doesn't even try to hide how mad he is, getting heated super fast. Cheon thinks to himself, kind of cold, that maybe he's finally caught this dude's attention. Meanwhile, the maid in the back looks terrified, barely holding it together. He starts to chill out, kinda surprised by how bold and gutsy Cheon is. He's not really used to seeing someone act like that. He steps up to him, his face all serious, and basically lets it slip that nobody ever talked to Namgung Mobake like this before. The guy throws out a challenge. He bets that if Cheon sticks around until the day's over, he'll start calling him master and teacher. Cheon jumps right in, totally down for it. Cheon isn't just gonna take someone's word for it. He wants real proof, since people forget what they say all the time. Young Master Mobek stares at him, caught off guard and honestly kind of irritated. He shuts down the whole contract idea right away, thinking it's way too extra for something this simple. To Mobek, the guy just comes off as that one dude who's overly into the details, always nitpicking like a hardcore scholar who can't chill. At the end of it, the guy just shrugs and acts like he's down for whatever, even saying he'd sign 10 contracts if needed. He has no clue how serious this actually is, but honestly, he thinks the whole thing is kinda interesting. Cheon spots an opening and grins to himself, thinking it's time to mess with his opponent a bit. He figures if he throws in some bets to the contract, things will get way more intense, and he'll get to see what his rival's really made of. Mobek's all in, super hyped because this weird scholar dude is just as into competing as he is. Mobek let everyone see just how messed up he was, his eyes wild like he was barely hanging on. He wasn't after cash or anything, he just wanted this crazy bet. If he came out on top, the other guy would be stuck as his slave for a whole year, no questions asked. Cheon thinks this rule is pretty childish, but he goes along with it anyway, kind of entertained by how silly it is. Mobek takes the contract and checks out the handwriting, barely nodding like he's impressed. He tells the guy to come with him, looks like Mobek's about to show him firsthand how things really work around here. Mobek steps out of the room, cracking up like he's already won, pretty much set on showing this scholar how rough real life can get. Cheon just stands there watching him go, not saying a word. Cheon takes a look at the young master and figures he gets mad pretty fast, but he also really gets into stuff and does everything honestly, kind of like how little kids don't hide how they feel. In the middle of the Pack City market, Mobek spots a noodle shop and his whole vibe changes. He looks straight up hyped, totally dropping any sense of pride. Even with all that excitement, he's still thinking about how to set Cheon straight and fix his annoying attitude. Mobek's just walking along when he spots this massive dude who looks like he's ready to wreck anyone. Seeing the chance, Mobek flashes a sneaky grin, already plotting his next move. He puts all his strength into smacking the guy on the back. The warrior yells out, mad, trying to figure out who just did that. Mobek acts like he has no clue what's going on, keeping a straight face while the warrior gets all fired up. He plays dumb, trying to figure out why the guy's yelling at him like that. Mobek, with this sneaky move, just points his thumb back at Cheon, basically throwing his teacher under the bus and telling the warrior to go ask Cheon what's up. He's trying to drag his teacher into the mess. Mobek, in his head, can't help but roast Cheon, thinking the guy's just some bookworm with no clue about real life. He's actually waiting to see Cheon freak out when things get real. The warrior steps up to Cheon, eyes locked on him, sizing him up. He wants to know straight up if Cheon's rolling with the young master, not messing around, and he's waiting for a clear answer. Xian studies everything going down, staying super focused and totally unreadable. He sees the warrior isn't reaching for his sword, even after getting disrespected. The guy's clearly not rolling with any of the shady groups around here, and it's obvious he's new to this spot since he just mouthed off to Mobek like it's nothing. To him, this makes the dude an easy pick for a fight with no real risk. Out of nowhere, Qian moves up and gives the warrior a deep, respectful bow, basically apologizing for the young master. Everyone's caught off guard. Then Qian spots the three-colored tassel hanging off the warrior's sword handle. He grinned, already knowing the guy had to be from the Songwei sect. The warrior wasn't expecting anyone to recognize him, so that caught him off guard. So Qian just keeps going, totally sure of himself. He lets everyone know he works at the Murim Alliance inspection office, so he's got all the insider info. He keeps pressing the warrior, bringing up that one time the guy's sect leader messed up bad, caused a ton of trouble, and had to cough up bail money to fix things. Qian's not letting him off easy at all. Only a handful of people even know about this secret. Qian leans in close and quietly lets the warrior know he was behind that whole situation. That's when the warrior suddenly gets it. He's face to face with the infamous scholar everyone's been talking about, and it hits him hard. The warrior suddenly switches up, looking nervous and sweating bullets while trying to say sorry to investigator Qian. Meanwhile, Qian can't help but laugh to himself, kind of surprised that his nickname might actually be getting around. Mobek just stood frozen in the back, totally thrown off by how this tough warrior suddenly bowed down and looked scared of some regular scholar. It didn't make sense to him at all. Qian and Mobek head out, with Qian casually waving bye to the warrior. Mobek, though, is heated, annoyed at how everything just flipped on them. Qian lets the warrior know that Mobek smacked him on the back just to mess with him and get him in trouble. The warrior can't help but look at Mobek with some pity, thinking he got stuck with the worst teacher ever. Mobek catches those looks and it just annoys him even more, like he can't stand being pitied. Mobek catches these two whispering and instantly gets annoyed, trying to figure out what they're keeping from him. While all this is happening, Qian's eyes light up with this wild, almost evil energy. Deep down, he knows things are about to get real interesting, and he's locked in for whatever's coming next. Mobek steps in front of Qian, clearly ticked off and not wasting any time. He demands to know what Qian just said to that warrior, looking like he's ready for answers right now. Qian throws on a fake innocent smile. He acts like he did nothing wrong, just played it cool and apologized politely. Mobek locks eyes on Qian, and you can just see how mad he is. He's starting to clock that Qian isn't just some regular dude, and it's getting under his skin. Deep down, Mobek decides he has to shut Qian down for good because, honestly, he's really starting to hate this guy. Mobek glances over at Qian, noticing how dude just gives off this real noble vibe way different from anything Mobek's got going on. As he's walking, he spots a guy slurping noodles and can't help but throw a sneaky grin his way. Out of nowhere, he just yells at the guy, telling him to move. He swings his foot and sends the noodle bowl flying, making sure everyone knows he's repping the Namgung family. Everyone just watched as the bowl launched into the air, totally stunned. Qian just stared, unbothered, trying to figure out why someone would pull a move like that. Food drops everywhere, turning the spot into a total mess. Mobek stands tall right in the middle of all the madness, not even bothered as people around him keep whispering, clearly freaked out. Mobek shoots a cold glare at Qian, already plotting in his head how he's going to make him pay for stepping up. In his mind, Mobek's set on dragging Qian into the mess and making sure he feels every bit of the damage. He steps up, looking confident, and lets everyone know the scholar here is about to break down what just happened. Mobek sits there thinking to himself, pretty much convinced that Qian's got no shot at paying up. Mobek grabs Qian by the collar and leans in close, basically daring him to talk his way out of the situation with that quick mouth of his. Qian just nods and tells him he'll make it happen if that's what he really wants. Qian moves up, catching Mobek's side-eye. Around them, the gang running the market starts whispering to each other. Qian notices all the eyes on him, and it's obvious these stares aren't friendly. They're locked right on him. He lifts his hand and gets the street vendor's attention, letting everyone know he just made a call about the noodle stand. He lets everyone know that from now on, the rules for paying protection money on this street are switching up. He points straight at Mobek, making it clear that the Namgung clan's own son is the one calling the shots on these fees now. Mobek just looks at Qian, totally caught off guard. Qian's got this sly grin, like he's already won something. Deep down, Mobek really doesn't want to deal with running a street this dirty. Mobek wants to speak up about using his clan's name, but he just gets stuck, stumbling over his words and looking mad. Right when things were heating up, guys from the Dosik gang pulled up loud, making it clear they run things around here. They didn't waste time letting everyone know they're in charge of collecting money, throwing some serious threats at Qian for stepping out of line. Qian steps in and calls out their sloppy leadership, putting them on blast in front of the whole crowd. He lets everyone know that the young master is about to handle things himself, repping his clan, and all that for the way they've been ripping people off. Mobek just stands there, totally thrown off. Qian sees an opening and leans in, pushing Mobek's buttons by questioning if the Dosik gang actually scares him. Mobek takes the bait and, not wanting to look weak, yells out that he could outdo outdo them any day. Cheon doesn't let that slide and make sure everyone around catches what Mobek just said. Cheon let everyone know that if they wanted to stay safe, they'd have to pay 1 copper every month. The merchants can't help but smile, clearly hyped after what just went down. One of them is especially pumped, thinking that kicking the stall was a smart way to show the Dusik gang who's really in charge. Everyone started cheering for Namgung Mobek, showing their respect by bowing to him. He's straight up buzzing and can't believe they're actually calling him a hero and showing so much gratitude. The merchant's whole face lights up when he hears Mobok's name echo through the place. Mobok lifts his hand to say hey to everyone, and honestly, having the crowd cheer for him just hits different. Cheon stands off to the side, grinning as he watches everything go down. He can tell right away that most of the guys causing problems in the alliance are just starving for someone to notice them. He sees how just showing some love and paying attention actually helped them out, and you can tell it worked because Mobek's way happier now. Up on the top floor, 2 women were chilling by the window, checking out what was happening down on the street. One of them started thinking if her friend actually knew that scholar who was hanging out with the young master. His companion lets him know she's never seen him around this street before and figures he must be the new scholar the Namgung clan just brought in. The silver-haired lady sees that the scholar looks about as young as Namgung Mobek, but this guy handles Mobek like he's got it all figured out. Even though he just looks like some regular scholar and not someone she'd usually pay attention to, he's got serious control and doesn't flinch. She figures that if this scholar can deal with the Namgung clan's mess without breaking a sweat, he's already on another level with his skills. She shoots her friend a sharp look, thinking this guy could actually help out with their mission, so she quietly tells her friend to go check him out. Out of nowhere, she switched things up and asked where the important thing was. The other person told her it was safe in the mountain stronghold. He lets her know that spot is honestly the safest place to stash all that money right now. Back at the clan HQ, Cheon just chills, moving slow as ever while stacking up silver coins one by one. Mobok's right in his face, yelling non-stop and trying to get Cheon to rip up the slavery contract after he dropped off the cash. Cheon acts like he's got all the time in the world, not even fazed. Cheon tunes out the young master's yelling like it's background noise, just keeps counting. 1, 2, 3, barely paying attention, even thinking for a second if he's missing a coin or something. He keeps counting super slow, and it's seriously getting on Mobak's nerves. Mobak can't stand how he's acting like he doesn't even exist, and it's starting to feel like a straight-up diss. Cheon hits number 5, totally locked in, while Mobak looks like he's about to lose it and swears he's going to take Cheon out. Mobak lost it, shouting at the smart scholar, while Cheon just stared at a silver coin in his hand, thinking about how heavy it felt. A young maid comes in with some tea, grinning at Cheon. She's honestly impressed. She's never seen Mobak just hand over his money to someone before, especially without putting up a fight. The maid, clearly in a good mood, started mumbling to herself about how the young master was straight-up trash. She probably thought no one could hear her, but Cheon picked up every word without even trying, thanks to how sharp his senses are. The girl totally freaks out and starts saying sorry right away, blaming it on her fever messing with her head. Cheon steps in before things get worse, telling everyone he knows a bit about medicine and can do some acupuncture to help her out. The maid hears that and it seriously catches her off guard. Right away, her mind goes to her mom, who's been stuck in bed sick for what feels like forever. Cheon lets her know he'll take care of her right away, then asks if there's anyone else in the clan who needs help. The girl gives him a grateful nod and bows, really thankful for his help. Cheon's eyes light up as he gets serious about straightening Mobok out, starting by switching up everything around him. He thinks back to when he was grinding through medical books in the archives, trying to find a way to help his mom get better. That's when he stumbled on 2 wild things he never expected. He found out something wild about his mom. She actually has the supreme purple star body. He's got one of those bodies that just seems built differently, almost like he was born with some kind of unbeatable advantage. He figured out that her sickness came from how strong her body was, way more than what a regular human could handle. That explained why none of the meds or acupuncture ever worked on her no matter how many times they tried. He lucked out when he realized there's just one herb that could actually work with her condition, the Dawn Spirit Flower. He had no clue where to even start looking for it, but just knowing it was out there somewhere made him feel like there was still a shot. The second thing is all about his body being different from everyone else's. His mom had this rare purple star body, so he basically got handed this insane, top-tier martial body from her. After he turned 20, his senses started leveling up fast. His body was changing, almost like it was built for martial arts now. He could pick up anything he wanted, from stuff like space and stars to medicine or even music, and it all just clicked for him without much effort. But every cool power has its downside. The heavenly martial body is stuck with the curse of the broken army star. If he doesn't take in the energy from the last 6 stars of the Big Dipper, his body's going to start breaking down after he turns 20. At that point, the star of madness inside him will just blow up, and he'll lose himself completely, running wild on pure instinct. He's headed for an early death, and it's going to be rough. If he wants to dodge this messed up future, he's got to track down 6 people who have star energy. He needs to pull their energy so he doesn't end up turning into some wild demon and dying before he even gets a chance to live his life. He can't shake the one thing stuck in his head. This is the only shot he's got if he wants to save his mom. The shot moves to this massive building, and out of nowhere, a guy gets launched straight through the wooden doors, crashing hard onto the ground outside. The guy's on the ground hurting bad. He can barely talk, but he's trying to get them out of there fast since things just got seriously risky. Someone walks up, footsteps calm and confident. The injured guy, barely holding it together, tries to signal a warning, his whole body shaking. Cheon showed up, actually searching for the loudest, wildest spot he could find. What he walked into was total wreckage, stuff smashed everywhere, and right in the middle of it all, some guy just chilling, sipping wine like it was no big deal. Cheon calls out the guy sitting there, basically roasting him for not being able to handle the Star of Madness energy. Meanwhile, the dude just keeps sipping his drink like he couldn't care less. The guy gets pissed and just smashes the cup in his hand, thinking about who would even try to talk to him like that. Cheon wastes no time showing who he's up against. His opponent is Ping So-un, the son of a big shot in the Miram Alliance. Cheon flips open his fan, already getting ready for whatever's coming next. Cheon steps up with a confident grin, letting everyone know he's from the Miram Alliance inspection office. Back in the present, the maid spots Cheon zoning out and checks if he's alright. Cheon snaps back and lets her know he was just thinking about stuff from back in the day. At Chung Sim Tea House, the whole vibe has switched up. Now it's basically a pop-up clinic, with Chung running the show and helping people out with needles. He moves fast, getting the needles in place like he's done this 1,000 times, and Hua Young just stares, totally impressed by how smooth he is. He wraps up helping the patient, pressing down on the sore spot with his hand to ease the pain. The people around really appreciate it, you can tell by how they look at him. Hua Young, who runs the tea house, can't help but notice how weird this guy is. Before, he acted like that kid was just some little dude, but now he's out here using these long needles like he's been doing it forever. She sees right away that his acupuncture game is on another level, way better than most doctors she's met. That's when she knows for sure she made the right call looking into him. Cheon grabs his ink and brush and starts writing out a prescription. The patients watch him closely, totally respecting his skills. They all see him as the scholar in the room. An old lady comes up, kinda nervous, and hands him a few eggs to cover what she owes. She's clearly embarrassed since that's literally all she has. Cheon grinned, grabbed the eggs, and gave her a quick thanks. He checked them out, saw they looked fresh, and figured he'd be down to eat them right away. Nobody expected it, but he handed her the prescription and tossed in a bag of cash for the meds too. The old woman freaks out and pushes the money away, not letting them give her anything else. Cheon stands his ground, saying they're basically one crew working for young Master Namgung, so they gotta have each other's backs. He also mentions he came into some extra cash out of nowhere. Everyone's grateful for what he did, so he gives them a chill smile and tells them to head home since it's getting late. Once everyone dipped out, Cheon stayed behind to stretch out his sore muscles. Nearby, Hua Young gave him a respectful bow before heading off. Cheon appreciated her letting him use the tea house so late. She didn't mind though, since his help really came through for her. She tells him he can come by whenever he wants, and next time, she'll make sure he gets a seat inside so people don't start talking. Cheon nods, thinking the tea house owner looks way younger and a lot better than he expected. Out of nowhere, his mind just takes off, imagining wild stuff about her. His heart starts racing, and he can't help but break a sweat. He grabs his chest, heart pounding, trying to remember what just went through his mind. Suddenly, it hits him. He needs to track down the ones with the Big Dipper energy right away, or things could get real bad, real fast. Outside, Hua Young steps out, and the princess catches up to her, wanting to know how the investigation's going. Hua Young drops all the details about Cheyenne Taesan. He was born in Wuhan, started off with a family that had some serious influence, but things went downhill after his dad passed and his mom got sick. Now, they're basically broke nobles just trying to get by. Hua Yang notices that even though he looks like a decent guy, he's got a lot of people who don't like him. Working at the inspection office back then didn't really help his reputation. He exposed all sorts of shady stuff and didn't hold back when it came to taking down big names, even the top leaders and pavilion masters. That got him a bunch of rewards, but it also made him some serious enemies along the way. He was so strict that he actually took down an elder from the Miram Alliance. People said he wouldn't let anything go, not even in the afterlife. His grind was so real that even ghosts kept up with him, which is how he got the name Ghost Scholar. The Alliance couldn't handle the pressure from his fight against corruption, so they shipped him off to the Namgung clan, basically trying to cut ties. Still, something about this move just doesn't add up. It's kinda sus. People say he's got serious martial arts skills too, right up there with the top young fighters making waves in the Miram Alliance, almost hitting first-rate status. Out of nowhere, everyone starts talking about his mom when the lady tells her friend to just say what she found. Hua Young checked out Cheyenne's mom and took a good look at the stuff he keeps buying from the pharmacy. After putting it all together, she realized there's a real chance his mom could have Sun-Pulse severance disease. The princess's eyes lit up, curious if this could finally be the sickness she's been searching for the whole time. It's been 5 years since she dipped from the North Sea Ice Palace. Since then, she's been moving around, laying low as a doctor, always hunting for a cure to this rare disease. Now, she's got 1 year left on the clock if she can't track it down. After thinking it through, she figures she's got to check out Cheon Tyson's mom herself to be sure. Turns out Hua Young is actually the third guardian at the North Sea Ice Palace. Her boss told her to keep a close eye on that scholar and not let anything slide. Cheon walked down the street, lost in thought about the Big Dipper. He kept wondering where everyone with that star energy had ended up. He gets it. If you're born with this energy, you'll end up showing what you can do sooner or later, maybe even end up leading your own crew. While he's lost in his own head, he suddenly picks up on someone nearby. Out of nowhere, Mobak shows up, plastering on a smile that everyone could tell was fake, and he calls the guy teacher. He pulls out this beat-up old book that's been in his family forever. Apparently nobody's ever been able to figure out what it actually means. Mobak acts all innocent, pretending he's just curious if the book is some kind of fighting guide. He says he'll figure it out on his own this time, like he's got it covered. Cheon was his writing teacher, so he went straight to him for help figuring out what those talismans meant, acting like he had no clue what was inside. Cheon eyes the guy, not trusting him one bit. He's trying to figure out why this kid suddenly wants a favor and what he's really up to. He figures he might as well go for it since he's bored out of his mind, so he says he'll give it a shot. Mobek turns and heads off, that smug grin on his face. Cheon catches it right away and just knows Mobek's already cooking up something shady. Mobek can't help but laugh to himself, thinking this clueless scholar is about to mess up big time. He figures, just like everyone else who tried to read that book, the guy's gonna lose control and totally wipe out. Cheon freezes for a second, trying to process if this kid really just gave him the Namgung clan's secret manual. Mobek chills on the grass, looking totally relaxed. He throws Cheon a look that basically says he doesn't think Cheon can even figure out what's in the book, almost daring him to give it a shot. Mobek thinks the manual he handed over isn't just some random book. He's sure it's actually a killer martial art that's wrecked a ton of talented Namgung clan members before. He realizes that if he tries to figure out this opportunity, his meridians are just going to get blocked one by one. He watches from a distance, straight up laughing to himself, just waiting for Cheon to mess up and lose control. Cheon chills under the open sky, totally focused on his book. He spots this line about how being super simple is basically the same as being super complex. All because the great Tao doesn't have a set shape. The words stick with him, and he keeps running them back in his head, trying to catch the meaning that most people would probably miss. Cheon notices the book is packed with next-level martial arts secrets, and instead of getting caught off guard, he's low-key hyped-like. He can't help but get excited just thinking about how insane this could be. Cheon's walked in on the book, not messing around. He knows rushing through it could mess up his chi, so instead of just skimming the words, he tries to let the verses sink in, really feeling them in his body. While this is going on, the young maid walks in, all smiles, ready to share some good news. She's seriously hyped because her mom's doing way better now, thanks to the medicine he gave her last time. People who tried the medicine are actually pretty impressed with how good he is at this. Now they're offering to help him out with whatever he needs, just to pay him back. Cheon jumps on the chance right away, saying he could use some help and asking if there's a wooden sword anywhere in the dorm. The maid thinks his request is kind of weird. The scene jumps over to Mobyak. He's yelling at the maid who's bugging him for his wooden sword because Cheon needs it. Mobiad pulls out his real sword, looking serious, while the maid stands in front of him, clearly freaking out. He aims his blade right at her, and she totally loses it, screaming and begging him to stop. Mobyak chucked his actual sword at her, basically making fun of her and pushing her to drop the wooden one and go with the real thing. He doesn't stop there. He starts tossing out all sorts of weapons, pretty much daring him to bring his A-game and use whatever he's got. The scene moves over to Cheon. He grabs the wooden sword, totally chill, and starts moving with this smooth flow. While he's at it, he's quietly saying some words, stuff like formless ripple, silent dispersion, and crossing boundaries, almost like he's in his own zone. Cheon picks up on the chants, realizing they're packed with some deep Buddhist stuff that makes everything way harder to figure out. He figures out that if he really wants to get good at this, he needs to learn where the 7 spiritual meridians are and what they mean, just like they talk about in esoteric Buddhism, not the usual Taoist stuff he's used to. Mobek can't help but smirk to himself, low-key sure that the way the book is set up is just too confusing for Cheon. He figures Cheon's probably gonna mess up eventually and end up with some serious chi problems. Mobak doesn't realize that Cheyenne once spent time in the Moram Alliance library checking out some old-school Buddhist stuff, so Cheyenne actually knows exactly where these spiritual lines are. Cheon locks in, channeling all his energy straight at the 7 main blood points. He swings the wooden sword fast and clean, not wasting a single move. He figured out that doing it this way would actually let him unlock the real secret behind the sword move. He's pretty sure no one else in Muram could pull this off, since he's the only guy who actually understands Sanskrit. He keeps using the skills he picked up, putting what he learned into action every chance he gets. Cheyenne figures the person who made this martial art probably wanted to tap into the power from these spiritual lines. He also knows that if he just uses normal energy, the move won't hit as hard and won't really be worth it. He gets it now, you can just tell by the look in his eyes. He stays locked in, pushing through his training with even more energy. Jian keeps grinding through his training all the way to sunset, his wooden sword getting slick with sweat. He knows if he tries to push his energy through all 7 lines at the same time, even if he knows exactly where they are, things will go sideways and mess him up inside. He figures if he tried to explain this to the Namgung clan, they'd basically treat him like he stole their secret moves. They just couldn't handle the fact that some regular scholar figured out a problem his own family couldn't crack for generations. When he wrapped up, Cheon handed her a gold coin, basically saying she could treat it like some extra cash for herself. The maid kept saying it was her job to help him out, but Cheon told her again he appreciated it. He lets her know he's heading out for a bit and that if anyone comes looking, they should just know he'll be back later tonight. Cheon walks into a shop and wants to know where to find a big herb shop nearby. Someone points him in the right direction, so he heads over. He's out walking down the street, thinking about whether he'll spot any herbs that might help his mom get better. Out of nowhere, one of the gang guys catches sight of him and starts yelling that he's found the guy everyone's after. Dosaki, the boss, looked mad. He was thinking about how much cash they just lost, all because of Cheon, and was trying to figure out if Cheon even got how serious it was. Cheon found himself boxed in by a bunch of gang members, all holding clubs and weapons. They made it clear they'd heard the Namgung clan was about to take over the protection racket on Northern Road. Dosuke wants Cheyenne to get the clan to let them start collecting fees again. Cheyenne just stares at him, totally ice-cold, and wants to know what's really pushing Dosuke to make that move. Cheon basically tells him that if he's got a problem, he should take it up with the young master, making it clear that risking his life just for some protection money isn't worth it. He looks at him, basically daring him to prove he's actually got what it takes to handle the Namgung clan. Dosuke lets out a laugh that's straight-up disrespectful, making it obvious he knows the guy doesn't actually have any power. He clearly got the inside scoop from someone, so now he's just flexing that he's one step ahead. Cheon clocks right away that someone dropped cash just to take him out. Cheon just chilled there, flipping his fan open with a cool grin. He already had a pretty good idea about who set him up like this. He looks at them and throws some sarcasm their way, basically wondering if any of them even know what a Murum scholar is. Gang members closed in on him from every direction. Cheon, totally calm, wondered out loud if any of them had ever seen someone use a fan as a weapon. They start roasting him, acting like learning a fan dance is pointless. Dosuke just tells his crew to show him what happens when you mess around. Dosuke flashes a wild grin, then tells his guys to hook him up with a chill massage. One guy launches himself up, going for a high-flying attack, but Cheon just stands his ground, totally unfazed. Cheon brings up something he just found out, saying he got the answer from a book he read not long ago, and now he's sure about it. Cheon shuts his fan and just blocks the guy's heavy swing like it's nothing. Shan breaks it down, saying the energy in spiritual meridians moves kind of like waves do. He moves fast, swinging the fan and blasting the attacker with a powerful hit. The shockwave drops the guy instantly, and he's on the ground yelling from how much it hurts. Cheon notices how the wave starts from one spot and just keeps spreading out. Dosaki freezes, his mind racing. He can't help but panic a little, thinking this dude might actually know some real martial arts. The gang guys backed off quick, looking nervous, and said sorry to Cheon. They even owned up to not showing the scholar any respect. Cheon flashes a sly grin, wondering why these guys are suddenly acting like they're heroes. He tells them to chill with the drama since he's got other stuff to handle. Dosuke starts shaking a little and tells him to hold up for a second. A few seconds pass, and Cheon wants to know his name. Ibdoswigi barely gets it out, his face all puffy and his voice shaky. Cheon catches on that they're talking about Dosaki. While the group is still kneeling in front of him, he gives a serious warning. If he hears even the slightest rumor about them shaking people down for protection money on the Northern Road again, it's not going to end well for them. He says he'll mess them up so bad they'll be crawling for the rest of their lives, promising to handle it himself. The gang members are clearly nervous but also relieved as they realize he's letting them off easy this time. They can't help but be grateful, knowing things could have gone way worse for them. As they're about to head out, Cheon suddenly freezes. He remembers there's one more thing he needs to look into. Dosuke instantly gets anxious again, like he already knows this isn't over yet. Dosaki and his crew keep saying sorry, clearly scared, while Cheon just flips open his fan, looking icy. He's debating if he should keep putting them in their place for a bit longer. After a while, Cheon pulls up at the Hall of 100 Herbs, which is basically the biggest herb spot around. He looks around and notices the shop's way bigger than he expected. Honestly, if the guys he went up against were a little tougher, he could have really pushed that technique to see what it could do. Now, he just thinks he missed out on a chance to level up. He walks into the shop, still picturing how that spiritual wave just wrecked everything in its path. He's already planning to make a fan out of straight-up iron something tough enough to handle whatever he can throw at it. Inside the shop, Mo-Beck sees someone he knows and just freezes up, totally forgetting why he even walked in. He spots this girl with silver hair and just freezes for a second. She's honestly on another level. Out of everyone he's ever seen, she easily makes his top 3. He doesn't expect it, but Mo-Beck just shows up right in front of her. Out of nowhere, Mo-Beck says he's from the Namgung clan and, being way more polite than usual, asks what her name is. The princess stares at him with zero warmth, clearly not impressed that he showed up. She's got a ton on her plate and really just wants him gone. Mo-Beck wants to know her name before he heads out, but she cuts him off and just says she's a doctor who dropped by to grab some herbs. Mo-Beck didn't expect her to be a doctor and instantly remembered hearing stuff online about some woman in Hefei who's been patching people up for free. He wondered if this was Lady Jung Sobin, and when he checked, she just nodded, confirming it. Qian couldn't help but wonder why someone that good-looking would give out free treatment. It just didn't add up in his head. There had to be something else going on. Mo-Beck suddenly acts like his head is killing him, hoping to get the princess to check on him, but she just shuts him down, says she's got stuff to do, and tells him to wait. Mo-Beck runs after her, not wanting to lose sight of her for even a second. Qian just pops up out of nowhere in the shop, catching everyone off guard. Mo-Beck turns to him, clearly confused about why Qian showed up like this. Qian just says he's there to pick up some herbs he needs, while Mo-Beck tells everyone he showed up to get some medicine for himself. Qian catches a look at the paper Mo-Beck's got. He spots the name, Sistantia Wisdom Soup, and can't help but laugh to himself, thinking Mo-Beck's probably planning to try out some kind of power-up drink. Mo-Beck glances at the words under the name and sees it's supposed to help with focus. He can't help but think, kind of joking to himself, why this kid would even need something like that. Mo-Beck moves fast, trying to stash the paper before anyone notices. Qian catches the move and gives him a look, thinking about whether this kind of art is what really gets the kid interested in school. Out of nowhere, Mo-Beck catches onto something and gets hyped, turning to Qian to see if he actually made sense of the manual he handed over. He started thinking about whether he should really be taking it slow right now. If he actually paid attention to what everyone was chanting, it was pretty clear they expected him to be putting in work and training, not just messing around. Qian secretly laughs to himself, thinking about how he already cracked a few of the verses, but knows the rest are insanely tough. Mo-Beck's let down because he really thought this guy would crush it as a Jingxi-level scholar, but now he just seems to be falling short. Qian can't help but smile to himself, knowing he nailed the interpretation. Still, he keeps it low-key and doesn't let anyone else catch on. Mo-Beck suddenly looked excited and really wanted Qian to explain what he thought. Qian didn't expect Mo-Beck to get all hyped out of nowhere. It made him pause and think maybe Mo-Beck really wanted him to win. Qian suddenly wonders if it's cool to talk about the interpretation here, thinking that just saying 2 lines probably won't make sense to random people around. Mo-Beck tells him to hurry up and get to the point. Qian starts breaking down what everything means, and Mo-Beck just sits there getting more and more surprised as he listens. His eyes go wide, not believing how this scholar broke down the book so perfectly. Mo-Beck catches on that Qian isn't just any regular scholar, he's actually on a whole different level. His take on it lined up perfectly with what his family always said was the real deal, and honestly, none of the 5 experts he brought in before even came close to pulling that off this fast. Qian just stared at Mo-Beck, kind of blown away that he actually got what he meant. Then, with this chill, confident grin, Qian made it clear he was totally sure about it. Mo-Beck shouts out, hyped up and calling him his writing teacher like he just remembered something awesome, and Qian just watches, confused about why Mo-Beck suddenly switched up his vibe like that. Mo-Beck lets him know that some people from the Yuga clan are stopping by in a couple days. Qian just stares back, not really showing any interest, basically wanting to know what's up with that. Mo-Beck lets everyone know that one of the guests, Yuga Dewan, is around his age. Qian's pretty sure he's seen Dewan a couple times in the Alliance already, but Dewan doesn't actually know who Qian is. Mo-Beck invites Qian to come to the hangout, hyping it up with promises of good food and some decent drinks. Qian figures out on the down low that Mo-Beck actually wants him to help out with this regular hangout the kids have, so now it makes sense why he's after that wisdom soup. Qian thinks back to how the Yujia clan is all about brains over fighting skills, and honestly, Yuga Dewan is way more book smart than most of the other young leaders out there. People say he always pulls up to these hangouts ready to flex his skills, whether it's dropping some poetry, playing music, doing calligraphy, or showing off his painting game. Qian smirks to himself, catching on that Mo-Beck just sees him as a guy with nothing to lose except his own pride. Looks like Mo-Beck's planning to throw him into some pride showdown with a bunch of other cocky kids. Qian's eyes light up, ready to watch one kid roast another. For him, this is peak entertainment, no way he's missing out. Mo-Beck brings it up again, wanting to know what he thinks about joining, and Qian just says yes right away, not even hesitating. He quietly thought the Battle of Brats was actually pretty cool. Out of nowhere, Qian gets hit with a stabbing pain in his chest and grabs at his heart. Qian starts to think maybe that lady he spotted earlier had something to do with how he's feeling now. He knows he's got to track down that 7-star energy fast, or things are going to get a lot worse for him. Mobek glared at him, basically calling him out and making it clear he should just say if he wasn't down to go. Cheyenne grinned to himself, noticing that the more he watched him, the more he picked up on a vibe that reminded him of Peng Soan. He figured he had to look into it and see what was really going on. Cheon says he's down to go, but he's got 2 rules. Mobek, clearly annoyed, wants to know what Cheon's conditions are. Cheon asks if he can check Mobek's pulse on his wrist, catching Mobek off guard. Mobek looks at him, not really sure why Cheon wants to do that. Cheon points out that he noticed the guy making wisdom soup earlier. Apparently this stuff is supposed to boost your brain power, but if you mess up how you take it, it can actually mess with your head. Mobek gives him a look, basically telling him that messing up the flow of internal energy through the wrist could seriously mess someone up inside. He wonders, not even hiding the sarcasm, if the guy just wants an excuse to check him out for some soup. Cheon looks over and wonders if the guy isn't worried that the soup might totally mess up his martial arts skills. Mobek doesn't really want to, but he still puts his hand out for Cheon. Cheon grabs Mobek's wrist and sends a bit of his own spiritual energy through just to see what'll happen. He just wants this trip to the Namgung clan to actually pay off. Cheon starts to feel super lightheaded, but there's this weird energy pulsing around him. He can't help but wonder, totally stunned, if this is actually the Wookiee star right in front of him. Mobek looked a little on edge, wondering if something was up. Cheon just hit him with a big smile, making it clear everything was chill. His mind was sharp, and whatever meds he was taking weren't messing him up. Mobek gets this weird feeling when he sees Cheon's odd smile, thinking Cheon must be low-key impressed by how smart he is. Mobek wanted to know what the second condition was. Cheyenne just grinned, keeping his eyes on your training session. Mobek didn't see that coming and wanted to know what was up. Cheyenne laid it out. Old school clans like Namgung have their own way of doing things, with unique signs and their own road to follow. To really get what the chants in the book are talking about, he's got to know how the clan's other martial arts work. Watching Mobek move is clutch for him. It helps everything in the book finally make sense. Mobek didn't expect Cheon to actually care about his training. Most of the time, scholars acted like martial arts were just some wild stuff for brutes, and they never showed any real interest. He's all in, thinking that Cheon actually wanting to watch the training and really understand what's going on is what makes him a legit scholar. Mobek sits back, scheming on the low. He's already planning to get Cheon to break down the manual he's studying. If Cheon nails it, that's a win, and if not, Mobek's not stressing. Either way, he's chill. Mobek says he's down, but he wants Cheon to break down the martial art he's working on right now too. Mobek tells Cheyenne to show up the next day. Cheyenne just grins to himself, knowing his plan's working out exactly how he wanted. The next day rolls around and Mobek's all hyped, hoping Cheon will finally let him in on the meaning. But Cheon just shuts him down without a second thought, keeping it icy and tossing a book his way instead. Mobek checks out the cover and sees the title, Limitless Azure Sky Sword Arts. He just stands there, frozen for a second, surprised that he actually found something like this. Cheon can't figure out why Mobek is handing over these secret manuals. He's straight up amazed, but also side-eyes. Mobek, thinking this dude might actually be nuts. He wants to know straight up how the guy got his hands on this book, and if it's really cool to let someone outside the clan see their secret moves. Mobek just shrugs it off, totally cool with it, since he actually wants to get good at this. Mobek's confidence was on full display. He was convinced he'd pick it up way faster than his brothers ever could. He tells himself that Cheon used to be with the Murim Alliance and really gets how all the rules work, so he doesn't have to stress about any info slipping out. Mobek, acting all smug, tells Cheon to read out the chants and break them down for him. He drops 300 silver taels as payment, but Cheon tells him to use a banknote instead of dumping a pile of coins again. Mobek starts showing off with his sword, pulling off wild moves in the air and landing some strong kicks. Cheyenne keeps his eyes on every move, thinking the sword art looks like someone making music that reaches out to the sky. He can't help but admire how smooth and awesome it looks. Mobek keeps yelling every time he gets hit, and it's really messing with Cheon's head. All that noise just throws off his game and makes it hard for him to stay locked in. He gets annoyed by the loud noise, throws his hands over his ears, and can't even focus on his book. He gets right up in Mobek's face and just lets him have it, telling him to keep quiet because they need to save their energy. He explains that with this sword move, you gotta hold your breath and wait for the perfect moment to hit. Yelling just messes up your energy and throws everything off. Mobek keeps going with his training, not saying a word. His moves start looking way smoother and you can tell he's really locked in now. Mobek picks up on how much stronger and faster he's gotten. Everything just feels way easier now, and he's low-key surprised by how much he leveled up. Cheon grinned, looking pretty pleased with himself. He told the guy he should start taking his training way more seriously if he ever wanted to show off that kind of power for real. Cheon said he'd be ready to accept it with respect when the moment finally came. Mobek launches himself up smooth and confident, then comes down hard with a landing that just looks strong. He keeps moving quick and sharp, weaving through as leaves drop all around him. Mobek just drops his sword on the ground, not really believing he actually pulled that off. He's honestly surprised at himself. Before, he couldn't even get through the first form without running out of breath. But today, for the first time, he actually finished it. He gets all hyped and asks Cheon how he figured it out, but Cheon just thinks to himself that he said it because the guy wouldn't stop being loud and annoying. Cheon flips open the book and spots a line that straight up says to save your breath. He thinks it's just basic logic. When someone's got crazy skills in martial arts, they don't waste energy or breath like beginners do. Mobek just stared at his screen, kind of stunned, realizing he'd gone over that message a bunch of times and still somehow missed it. Cheon stands there with a candle in his hand, staring at the steady little flame. He looks over at Mobek, genuinely curious about this one line in a poem that talks about how the candle's flame stays solid and doesn't even flicker. Cheon wonders out loud why the poet chose a candle for this comparison, wanting to get what's so special about that image. Mobek catches on to what's really going on. It's not about keeping his body still. He figures out it's all about locking in his breathing so nothing messes with the flame. Mobek grabs his head, kind of stunned because this explanation goes way deeper than anything he's ever seen from the clan. He starts thinking, no way, is this really what someone with a Jingshi degree can do? Mobek's honestly just impressed by how smart Chan is. He sees how Chan figured out the moves and pulled them off, but Mobek knows Chan doesn't actually know what to say next. He's missing the chance to come after. He stares down at his hands, kind of frustrated. He knows he can copy the moves, but deep down, he gets that he's missing something important. He just doesn't know what the moves are really about. Cheon gives him this look, clearly not buying it, and basically calls him out. He wants to see if Mobek actually gets it, telling him to do the moves right there if he's missing something. Mobek's thrown off and kind of pushes back, not really sure what's going on. Cheon takes charge, making it clear he's the one running things here. He basically calls out the whole idea of a teacher bowing to a student, thinking there's no way learning happens like that. Not even trying to hide the sarcasm, he lets the other guy know he can let this go if he's not up for it. Cheon acts like he's about to dip, dropping a hint that he'll go check in with young Master Lee instead. Mobek instantly starts to freak out, trying not to lose it. Cheon goes straight for the jugular, bringing up how Mobek's older brother is already grinding with the same technique. He throws some shade, basically asking if Mobek is too proud to give his teacher any respect. Cheon checks out Mobek's fired-up expression and starts thinking, maybe Namgung Mobek's actually the first one from the main family to pull this off. That thought gets him low-key hyped. He actually pulled off the secret move behind the limitless Azure Sky Sword arts, and Mobek just froze. His brain pretty much glitched out, and he couldn't process what just happened. Mobek's eyes light up, and he tightens his fists, totally hyped and ready to take on the challenge. He's all in, showing everyone he's not backing down. Mobek tries to sound respectful, but his accent is way off and kinda weird, so Cheon steps in right away and calls him out, making sure he fixes it. The story moves over to the training grounds. The clan leader's just walking through, checking everything out with his usual calm vibe. The leader picks up on the noise and instantly worries that Troublemaker is messing with the new scholar in the market again. He decides right then that if the kid gets the scholar kicked out, he's definitely going to let him have it. He didn't expect Mobek to ask for more, so that threw him off. Watching Cheon smack Mobek with a stick to keep him in line, while Mobek just went along with it, was wild. From a distance, the leader keeps an eye on Cheon, noticing how he tells his student to pay attention to what the opportunity really means, not just the moves. The leader starts thinking, almost in disbelief, if this scholar is actually giving him a lesson in martial arts right now. Mobek suddenly shouts out, calling the guy master in a way nobody expected. The leader just stands there, thrown off, watching his son, who never even listens to his own brothers, show crazy respect to some regular scholar. He runs his hand through his beard, finally chill now that he knows all those stories about Cheon fixing up troublemakers weren't just talk. Watching his youngest son start acting like a decent person for once really hits different. The leader's ready to hook Cheon up with a big reward, but right then Cheon suddenly calls out, Azure Sky. Cheon keeps talking to Mobek, telling him to pay attention, and notice that the move's name literally has sky in it. The leader's face goes pale, realizing what just happened. He starts thinking hard, trying to figure out if the scholar just put the clan's secret move out there for everyone to see. The leader loses it, convinced his son spilled clan secrets to some outsider. He isn't about to let that slide, so he jumps in fast, set on catching both of them right away. Right as he's about to make a move, he catches Cheon telling Mobek to chill and really think it through. Cheon's breaking it down, saying if Mobek cuts out all the extra stuff, there's just one real answer left. The leader freezes when he hears Cheon going hard with those chants. Mountains might look massive, but they're still under the sky, and no matter how deep the water is, it always moves across the ground. Every word brings up scenes of wild nature, with massive mountains and deep water looking perfectly balanced. Mobek chills with his eyes shut, sitting super still, just thinking back to what his teacher said about how mountains connect with the sky and water sticks with the earth. He gets lost in his own thoughts, thinking how even the tallest mountain still sits under the same sky, and even the deepest water has its limits. Mobek snaps into his inner world, suddenly underwater, surrounded by this super clear blue. There's a bright light shining everywhere, and he just gets it, like everything finally clicks in his head. Cheon checks out his student and can't help but smirk. He sees right away that Mobek figured out the mental image almost instantly. It's clear to Cheon, this kid's got some next-level martial arts skills. The clan leader hangs back, keeping an eye on everything from afar. Sweat starts running down Mobek's face while his eyes flicker with a weird green light. Suddenly, things start to make sense for him, like he's finally seeing the whole picture for the first time. He gets up fast, swinging his sword in this huge circle, thinking about how the sky is basically the biggest thing out there and that it pretty much holds everything together. He lifts his sword up, pointing it at the sky, and suddenly it clicks. This is what the whole blue sky thing is really about. As he's taking that in, Cheon looks over, shutting his book, and checks if things are finally starting to make sense for him. Mobek lifts his sword and aims it straight at the sky, locking in on that endless blue above. In that moment, he just knows. The sky keeps going forever, no cap. That's what limitless really means to him. His eyes lit up and his sword started glowing with wild energy. He was locked in, ready to go all out with a serious hit. Mobek swings hard, throwing out a wild burst of energy that pretty much tears the sky open. He just loses it, cracking up and getting hyped because he actually pulled off the move. You can tell he's never felt anything this crazy before, and he's all in on that rush. He looks over at his teacher, totally locked in, eyes lit up and ready for whatever comes next. He's just waiting to hear what to do now, hoping for more tips so he can level up. Cheon just gives a chill smile and breaks it down for him. Using this deep example about a bird, he basically points out that when a bird's flying up in the sky, it's not stressing about some special way to move its wings, it just does its thing and goes wherever it wants. He keeps telling him that if he wants to really fly, he just needs to open up and go for it. Like, just stretch his wings and aim for the sky. He breaks it down, saying the only way to truly get the hang of the limitless Azure Sky Sword moves is to let yourself be free, no holding back. Cheon walks up to him, that knowing grin on his face. Cheon's basically lived his whole life doing whatever he wanted, never really caring about rules. Out of everyone, he gets what real freedom is like. Cheon drops some heavy news, and Mobek just freezes, trying to process everything he just heard. He rests his hand on his chest, kind of surprised, thinking maybe all the wild stuff he's done is why he actually gets what real freedom feels like. He just starts laughing on and off, not really believing how weird and messed up the whole thing is. He stares at his shaky hand, chills hitting him hard. It's kind of wild since he always thought he really got what martial arts were all about. Turns out, he was totally wrong. The clan leader stood off to the side, watching everything play out. He started to realize his own understanding wasn't all there, and being in charge had kind of blinded him to the bigger picture. All the pressure from being the clan patriarch had him stuck in his own head, making it hard to see what was really going on. He walks out, dragging his feet, finally getting that mastering. This martial art was never really in the cards for him. It just made sense, like it was always meant to end this way. He walks down the hallway, thinking to himself how he's never really had a day where he could just chill and do what he wanted. Mobek stood in the courtyard yelling as this weird new vibe hit him hard. He had no clue what was going on inside, but whatever it was, it totally threw him off. Mobek's mind drifts off into this unreal golden space. He starts thinking about how he's always acted like a brat, just so he could do whatever he wanted and push everyone else away. That was his idea of freedom. But now, with this wild rush inside him, he can't help but question if this is what real freedom actually feels like. Cheon keeps an eye on his student, noticing he's on the same grind Pang So-eun was, maybe even leveling up faster. Cheon's lips curl up into this sly grin. He's already thinking about his next move, ready to level up his plan. He remembers the Big Dipper crew has 7 stars, and that detail is about to come in clutch for whatever he's scheming. He spots the greedy wolf, checks out the huge gate, then notices the literary star, the chase star, and the prosperity star. Right away he figures out that Mobek is actually the martial star. He thinks back to what's real about himself. Guys born with the heavenly martial body are basically stuck with the whole shattered army star thing. It means they're set up to wreck themselves and end up staring down death. Cheon figures out that if he wants to make it through this whole mess, he's got to take in energy from the other stars, the same way he got the prosperity star power from Pang So-eun before. As the sun started going down, Cheon got back home. Right away, his whole vibe switched. He could tell something was off and trouble was waiting for him. He grabs his head, pretty tense, because he's sure the clan leader overheard what went down between him and Mobek. On his way, he caught the leader's unique scent, so he already knows his cover's probably blown. Cheon suddenly gets it. This is serious. If someone outside the clan even catches a glimpse of their secret manual, it's basically game over for them. He knows the clan leader could call him in any second, and honestly, he's just waiting for it. Out of nowhere, the maid swings the door open and lets him know the patriarch wants to eat with him ASAP. Cheon just nods, looking chill like it's no big deal. The maid heads out to let him know she'll be waiting, but she's stuck wondering how he already knew what was up before she even said anything. Plus, the way his face looked like he was seriously mad or something left her a little thrown off. Cheon walks into the room and spots this fancy dinner table set up. Nam Gung Hak, the clan leader, is already there waiting for him. The leader points out his wife sitting next to him. Cheon shows major respect, bowing deep to let her know he's honored to meet her. She glances over at her husband, giving him that teasing side eye like she already knows he didn't tell the truth and just wants to see what he'll say next. She grinned and started talking about how her husband never mentioned how good-looking Scholar Cheon actually is. Honestly, it had been ages since she'd seen a dude who looked that good. The leader steps in to fix things, trying to chill everyone out, and says sorry to Cheon for calling him over so late. Cheon just nods, acting like getting invited is a big deal for him. The lady mentions she's already heard his name floating around, even in the Miram Alliance. Cheon owns up, saying, yeah, people do know who he is now. She smiles, hands together, clearly impressed. To her, taking down corruption and shady stuff isn't something to hide from, it's actually worth respecting. The lady switches things up and asks Cheon if he knows any poems or songs about standing up against unfair stuff, kind of hinting that he reminds her of the main character in those stories. Cheon handled her request like it was nothing, dropping some poetry about how injustice can't mess with the strong and how the winds always show who's really solid. The lady's face lit up, and you could tell she was honestly happy with it. She's impressed and admits that the things she heard about him were legit. Turns out, he's not just good at poetry and calligraphy, he's got skills in painting and music too. Cheon plays it cool, calling his skills just hobbies. The vibe in the room stays chill, and he starts thinking maybe he was stressing for nothing. Out of nowhere, the leader smacked his hand down on the table, and just like that, everyone went quiet. The vibe in the room totally switched up. His wife just stared, surprised, while Cheon didn't say a word. In the middle of the shadows, the leader's eyes lit up bright red. He gave Cheon a look that meant business, making it clear it was time to drop the small talk. He wanted the real story, no fake stuff, just straight honesty. The leader shot Cheon a sharp look, making it clear he wasn't messing around. He wanted Cheon to remember that catching a glimpse of the clan's secret moves could get him killed. The leader steps up and hits him with a straight-up question about the clan's secret technique. Cheon feels trapped, sweat starting to drip down his face as he realizes he's got nowhere to run. The leader asks again, his voice hard and sharp, trying to push for an answer. Cheon figures out that the leader's already onto the talk he had with Mobek. His chest feels tight and his mind starts racing for any way to get out of this mess. Cheon catches on fast and switches up his plan. Instead of trying to win over the leader, he starts talking to Lady Mobek's mom. He figures out that her son is the key to getting her on his side, so he goes for it. Cheon kind of mumbles that he did it, saying the young master asked him to. The leader isn't having it though, just shuts him down and makes fun of his excuse. Cheon starts breaking down his side of things, saying that when Mobek handed him the Azure Sky Sword arts, he noticed something intense in Mobek's eyes. It hit Cheon that he needed to learn this technique right away. Cheon figured out that this martial art was pretty much the only shot at straightening out the young master, who was wild and still missing the basics. The leader doesn't buy what he's hearing. He just shuts down the whole idea of wasting a secret move just to deal with some kid acting out. Cheon remembers this old saying about how getting rid of one bad thing can help a bunch of good stuff show up. He thinks that describes exactly what's going on with the young master right now. The leader tries to push back, thinking they're just making up reasons to snoop around. But Cheon cuts him off and makes it clear, this isn't just about secrets, it's actually about something deeper going on with the young master. Cheon steps up, totally sure of himself, and points out that he noticed the hero vibe in Mobek. He thinks that if Mobek could just chill out with the troublemaking, he's got what it takes to be a legend, someone who could even outdo Peng So-yoon, the genius everyone talks about. The mom just freezes, not really believing her wild youngest kid is getting put in the same league as someone like So-won. The leader locks eyes with Cheon, not messing around. He wants Cheon to keep it real and straight up asks if Mobek is really just some regular guy. Nothing special, just decent skills and a pretty average martial build. Cheon starts laying it out, saying the young master's got this wild, free vibe, but he never really got the chance to do his thing. Instead, it was like he was stuck, more like a chicken or a duck than a bird flying high. All those reckless moves, they were just him trying to get out of his own head, trying to escape that feeling of being stuck and hating it. The mom just stands there, tears streaming down her face, hand over her mouth. She's hurting, realizing her son's been carrying all this for a long time. Meanwhile, the leader isn't really buying it. He thinks the whole story is blown way out of proportion. The mom suddenly yelled at her husband, cutting him off. That pretty much proved Cheon was right. She started blaming both herself and her husband, realizing they never really tried to get what their youngest son was going through and just kept scolding him whenever he messed up. The Namgung clan's lady clutched her chest, clearly hurting, while she looked at Cheon. She was grateful to him, even though her voice shook, since he made her finally get just how much her youngest son had been struggling that whole time. She barely had time to process what just happened before her husband, the clan leader, started yelling out of nowhere. Instantly, she snapped back to reality. One of their top-secret clan techniques had just gotten out, and that's not something anyone could just let slide. She steps up to her husband, eyes already tearing up, and just lays it out. She's not some martial arts pro, and none of this fighting stuff really makes sense to her. But honestly, as a mom, all those legendary moves or even the Emperor's sword don't mean anything if her son's in danger. She makes it clear she'd give up all those secrets in a heartbeat if it meant saving her kid. The leader just looks at her, completely caught off guard, while she stands her ground and keeps talking. She makes it clear she values her troublemaker son way more than any fighting book out there. Out of nowhere, the lady slammed her hand on the table, dropping a wild idea. She suggested chopping off one of Cheon's arms so he couldn't fight anymore, and then just letting him go. In the background, Cheon just froze, totally freaked out by what he was hearing. The leader just stares, totally locked in and not messing around. Meanwhile, Cheon freaks out and bows fast, swearing up and down as he tries to save himself. Cheon yells out, basically begging. He says if he ever shares the Namgung clan's secrets again, he's totally fine with losing both his arms, no questions asked. He's dead set on proving himself, saying losing his head wouldn't make him bitter. The leader locks eyes with him, sizing him up, and finally decides to let him have one more shot to show he's loyal. The leader lets everyone know that tomorrow, some big shots from a massive clan are coming over. He figures they'll probably ask for a friendly fight, but deep down, he knows they just want to embarrass his youngest son again, like they always do. The leader remembers his son getting wrecked by his rival, lying on the ground after losing again. He reminds everyone that his son never managed to beat that guy, not even once. Cheon's face is dripping with sweat. He's really on edge, trying to figure out if this is all about making sure young Master Mobek wins tomorrow's duel. The leader just nods with a chill, confident grin, letting him know that if he pulls this off, he'll actually get a real spot one that lets him check out all the clan's secret moves for real. Cheon's eyes go wide. He definitely wasn't expecting that. Meanwhile, the leader just lays it all out. If Cheon messes this up, he's got to put his own life on the line. The leader gestures to his neck with his thumb, making it clear that someone as sharp as Cheyenne totally gets what this deal is all about. Cheon goes quiet for a second, sizing things up fast. It clicks for him. The patriarch wants Cheon to stick around in the clan, but he's throwing down this tough challenge just to keep him close. He just needs a solid reason to show the Namgung clan's elders and council so they'll actually bring him on. The leader just gave a quick wink, basically saying he's done talking. He throws down a challenge. If this guy really has what it takes to help his youngest son, then the kid should be able to fly on his own, no problem. Cheon tightens his fists and gives a deep bow to the leader, showing total respect and letting everyone know he's ready to take on the crazy tough mission. The couple heads out of the hall together. The wife looks a bit embarrassed about what she said earlier about cutting the arm, so she says sorry. Her husband just nods, letting her know he gets why she said it. He knows she's just worried about their youngest kid. The wife grinned and teased him, wondering if he always planned to bring Cheyenne on board, and if he actually got why he showed up at the clan. The leader just smiled back and pulled her in for a hug. The leader tells his wife about this guy who stood up to the Murim Alliance elders, risking everything, even though he was just an ordinary dude in the inspection office. He held his ground through all the threats, showing real guts, so the leader can't figure out why someone like that would ever turn on their own and leak the clan's secrets. He thinks it's wild how Cheon managed to change Peng So-un, who everyone used to call scum, into a decent guy. Now even the whole Peng clan sees Cheon as the one who saved them. Mobok's mom is honestly super happy that his dad found someone like this just for him. The next morning, sunlight hits the Namgung clan courtyards, and everyone's waiting to see what's about to go down. The Yuga clan rolled up with their whole crew, and their leader was already acting all high and mighty, wondering where Mobek was and why nobody had come out to meet them. Juju Dewan shows up, grinning with that evil look in his eyes. He's clearly got plans and can't wait to mess with the young master soon. Out in the back training area, Cheon was getting chewed out by Mobek. Mobek kept swinging his sword around, not letting up, telling Cheon to actually think about what he was doing instead of just going through the motions. He wasn't letting Cheon off easy, making him run it back over and over until he got it right. Mobek shouts out, totally on board, sweat running down his face as he keeps grinding through the tough training. While he's locked in, the courtyard door starts to creak open real slow. Some random guy rolls up in bright yellow clothes, talking trash about how short the Namgung clan's gate is. The visitor spun around, smirking with that sly look, clearly up to something. He called Mobek little brother, acting like he didn't expect to see him show up there. The guy in yellow just keeps grinning with that annoying fake smile, messing with Mobek by calling him little bro in a way that's meant to get under his skin. Mobek's clearly not having it. He just stares back, obviously irritated, and coldly asks if the dude finally showed up. Yug rolls up acting like he owns the place, smirking at Mobek and throwing some shade about training for their next fight. It's been ages since they saw each other, but Mobek just looks annoyed, not even trying to fake a smile. Yuga can't hide how hyped he is. Just thinking about going up against Mobek again has him grinning hard. He's got the height advantage, so he doesn't miss a chance to flex it, standing tall and looking down at Mobek like he's already got the upper hand. Cheon noticed right away that Yuga looked bigger than before, like he might have gotten taller since the last time he saw him at the Alliance. In his mind, he thought Yuga was kind of an interesting kid. Yuga keeps messing with Mobek in front of everyone, putting his hand on Mobek's head like he's patting a little kid. He throws out sarcastic comments, wondering if Mobek shrank or if he just got taller, and even jokes about Mobek looking cuter than before. Mobek swatted his hand away, super annoyed. He looked at the guy, basically calling him out for coming all this way just to flex about how tall he was, while the other dude just acted clueless like he had no idea what was going on. Yug lets out a smug laugh, leaning in just a bit, showing off that he's got way more up his sleeve than just being tall. He casually flexes his skills. He's solid at martial arts, pretty sharp with science stuff, and even knows his way around music. He's not about to let anyone think all he's got is height. He's got plenty to back it up. Yugi picks up on how Mobek's gotten way more confident lately, almost cocky. He glances back at Cheon, who's just hanging out in the background, and starts to wonder if this new guy has something to do with Mobek switching up his attitude. Yug lost it right in front of Cheyenne, getting heated and basically calling him out for acting all cool and ignoring him. He wanted answers fast, pushing Cheyenne to drop his name on the spot. Cheon just casually points at himself, totally unbothered, and says he's Cheon Taisen. Yuga hears that name and pretty much loses it, laughing hard and roasting him with some sarcastic comment about his tongue being short. Yuga decides he's gonna help them both break their bad habits. But then, out of nowhere, he just stops cold. His whole face goes stiff and his eyes go wide when he realizes what name he just heard. In Yuga's head, wild images of creepy ghost figures closing in on Cheon start popping up. Suddenly, it hits him. He's actually standing in front of the legendary ghost scholar from the Miram Alliance, and he can't believe it's real. Yuga's face is covered in sweat as he tries to figure out why someone this dangerous would show up in the Namgung clan of all places. He's totally thrown off, trying to make sense of what's going on. Yuga glances over at Cheon, piecing things together in his head. That's when it hits him. This is the same legendary scholar everyone talks about, the one who totally flipped Pung Son's world. Cheon walks up to him, totally calm and confident, making him wonder why he's being stared at like he's some kind of ghost. The young master starts to get tense and a bit lost, not sure what's coming next. Zhuge instantly tries to shut that down, stumbling over his words. He honestly thought the scholar would just chill with the Pung clan, since Pung So-on literally told him that was the plan. He remembers talking with So-on, who said he'd bring the scholar to his clan for a reason. Now, Yuga starts second-guessing if the scholar's really as good as people say, thinking maybe the hype was just overblown. Yuga thinks back to Elder Gal, the dude who's always had it out for him. Gal's got some serious beef and definitely wouldn't just let Yuga walk away from the Alliance unharmed. So honestly, Yuga's kinda surprised he's standing here right now, totally fine. Cheon steps in with his confident, almost daring smile, making it clear he's the one calling the shots about where he goes and what he does. He lets everyone know he's got stuff to handle right here and isn't leaving until it's done. Zhuge stumbles a bit, playing it cool like he's meeting Cheon for the first time, even though he's heard all sorts of stuff about him. But Cheon isn't having it and just points out, straight up, that they've already crossed paths a bunch at the Alliance. Cheon figures Zhuge just forgot. Cheon flipped open his fan, coming in with this vibe that meant he was about to drop something serious. He let everyone know the inspection office had already checked into young Master Yuga when Yuga messed up before. Yuga just laughed it off, a little awkward, and tried to brush Cheon off like he was just some annoying know-it-all. Cheon hides his face behind a fan, throwing out an apology that's obviously not serious. He tries to play it off, saying he's just stuck with some habits from his old inspection job, and that's probably why he ended up annoying the young master without meaning to. Yuga's face lights up with anger and surprise, not even trying to hide it. Cheon just holds up 2 fingers, dropping some extra info about how the rankings work. Turns out, Yuga's got a year on Namgung, but Cheon's actually 2 years ahead of Yuga. Yuga's face tightens up and his cheeks go red. He's clearly holding back some serious anger right now. Yuga can't help but laugh, honestly surprised. He's thinking, wow, this guy really has the guts to go up against the older pros and even someone like Gao. Zhuge looks at him, totally unimpressed, basically roasting the idea that a 2-year age gap means he should start acting all polite. To him, that thought is just straight up ridiculous. He leans in close to Cheon, basically letting him know he's not about to play by the usual rules. Cheon doesn't back down, he just throws it right back, letting the guy know he can drop the formal stuff too if that's how it's gonna be. Cheon's grin comes back, all confident like he's got it figured out. He just says it's cool since he's the older brother, and Yugo's mind basically glitches. Out of nowhere, Yugo just blurts out, calling him a jerk. Mobek just stood there, totally stunned. He knew right then that hardly anyone, no matter how good they are or how old, would ever have the guts to talk so chill and honestly, so bold, to someone from one of the 5 top clans. Mobek glances over at Cheon, kind of surprised but smiling. He realizes Cheon really does everything like he's got nothing to lose, and that confidence Mobek saw on day 1 wasn't just for show, it's just how Cheon is. Mo Bayat checks out Cheon and just can't help but be impressed. The way Cheon stands, so solid and confident, kind of forces Mo to respect him, even if he didn't want to. Right then, Yug spots Cheon's dark energy showing up like a giant ghost. Cheon basically tells him to drop the formal talk and just say what he wants. The way Cheon asks if he should stop comes off mad threatening, and it honestly scares Yug to his core. Duan tries to play it cool, acting like nothing's wrong by faking a cough. He switches things up and suggests they all grab lunch in the same garden where they hung out last year. He even singles out Cheon, calling him interesting just to keep things chill. Duan heads out, walking fast like he's got somewhere to be. Behind him, Cheon just waves his fan and pretends to thank him, not actually meaning it. As soon as Duwan's gone, Cheon cracks up, realizing little Duwan is way more entertaining than he expected. Cheon isn't happy with how things are going, but he just goes for it and shouts out to Do-won, sounding way too cheerful. Do-won just stops dead, totally stiff, and you can tell he's fuming inside. Do-won spins around, his face fired up and eyes blazing, but he just keeps moving, not even glancing back at Cheon and Mobek. The second the guest dips out, Mobek bolts over to Cheon, totally hyped. His eyes light up, almost like a little kid seeing something cool for the first time. He can't help but fanboy a bit, thinking that Cheon is honestly way cooler than he expected. He wonders if those rumors are actually true. Did he really send Elder Gal the terrifying straight to hell? And does he actually mess around with Yuga Duan like it's nothing, not even scared? While they kept walking, Mobek couldn't help but blurt out, almost hyped, if the rumor was real. Did he actually turn Pang So-eun into a human? So Cha-eun caught himself smiling a little, realizing that the young master was suddenly talking way more respectfully without even thinking about it. Cheon decides to start talking to him more respectfully now. He's noticed the young master actually gets it and has changed, so he figures that deserves some respect back. Mobek rubs the back of his head, kind of lost and a little embarrassed. Even though the teacher just said something important, he honestly doesn't notice anything different about himself. Cheon just lets him know, super chill, that Pang So-eun started out the same way. Mobek instantly freaks out when he tries to say the name Bear and quickly warns him, looking totally spooked, that calling that guy by his real name without being friends is a huge mistake. Mobek's gut drops as he realizes his brother's nothing like him at all. The guy just swings first, talks later, and Mobek can tell he's serious, like Cheon could actually get killed here. Cheon just stands there totally unfazed, making it clear they're definitely not on the same side. Cheon flashes a sneaky smile, letting everyone know that So-eun's the one who started calling him Big Brother. So Mobek just stares, totally unamused, thinking the teacher's just messing around like those random dudes who make up stories about stray dogs. Cheon just stands there, not saying a word, rocking a confident grin. Mobek starts second-guessing everything, staring at Cheon like he can't believe what's happening. The story shifts to this really cool garden, full of plants and trees that look straight out of a fantasy game. The two of them wander through the place, and Cheon starts wondering if this spot is actually where people take down demons. Mobek nods, locks in the name, and starts breaking down what happened way back. About 50 years ago, things went wild when the demonic cult started a big rebellion in Murim. Back in the day, the Namgung clan had some ancestors who totally had their secret moves down. These guys were always on the front lines in battle and did their job like pros, but it came at a huge cost. Almost all of them didn't make it out of that brutal fight. Mobek's voice drops as he talks about what went down. This whole tragedy is basically why nobody these days really knows the full limitless Azure Sky Sword arts. Everyone who truly got it just didn't make it, so their skills never got handed down. They keep this spot running so people remember what their ancestors went through and don't just let their stories fade away. Cheon knows this spot means a lot, but when music starts playing from inside, it totally throws him off. He gets that the place is special, but now it just feels wrong, like someone's messed with something important. Mobek's temper just snaps when he sees Do-won brought in women musicians and courtesans to the Garden of Subduing Demons this year. He takes it as straight-up disrespect, something he can't let slide. Do-won spots them showing up while he's just chilling, acting like he runs the whole spot and barely gives them a welcome. Meanwhile, Mobek's hands are shaking. He's seriously mad that someone would even think about bringing courtesans somewhere this important. Do-won let out a laugh, kind of making fun of the whole situation. Even though he's straight up from the Yuja clan, he can't just call in courtesans at his own place whenever he wants. But here, they hand them out to some random guy like it's nothing. Do-won thinks the Namgung clan gives away too much, all while the courtesan's just chilling, playing the pipa. Right then, Mobek's about to lose it and jump in, but Cheon just puts a hand on his arm, cool as ever, letting him know to chill and not make a scene. Cheon gives him this confident stare, basically saying he's got everything under control. He just wants the young master to chill and watch how things play out. Cheyenne walks in, rocking a bold grin, calling little Do-won by that name again. He throws out the question, asking if Do-won's having fun, obviously trying to get a reaction. Do-won just shoots him a hard glare, clearly not happy about it at all. Do-won opens the door and doesn't bother acting friendly. Chan notices the vibe but still heads in, pulling Mo-baek along even though he clearly doesn't want to go. Mo-baek jumps in, raising his voice, but Do-won isn't having it. He stands up, snatches the peeper right out of the player's hands, looking totally bored, like he can't even be bothered by what Mo-baek just said. Do-won is right in the middle of the hall, holding the instrument on his own. He's over being bored by himself, so he asks for some music to break the silence. Now he's just casually running his fingers across the strings, showing he really knows what he's doing. Do-won, scheming in his head, thinks it'd be hilarious to have the player go first. He figures this move will put Mo-baek and Cheon on the spot and make them really hear the skill gap. His fingers moved smoothly over the pipa strings, making chill tunes echo around the pavilion by the pond. He closed his eyes, getting into the vibe and matching his music perfectly. Cheon chills out and sips his tea, just listening. Mo-baek standing off to the side, arms crossed, looking serious. Out of nowhere, Do-won just stops playing, hand locking down on the strings, acting like he messed up and didn't think things through. Do-won shoots Mo-baek a cocky grin and pretty much calls him out, thinking Mo-baek only knows how to throw punches and work out, so there's no way he gets music or knows how to vibe with it. Mo-baek gets annoyed and starts yelling. Do-won drops a sneaky insult, then acts like he's sorry, saying he just forgot Mo-baek didn't really know much about high-class stuff. Cheon spots what's going on and catches on quick. He sees Do-won messing with Mo-baek, clearly trying to get under his skin before the big fight. In his head, Cheon thinks Do-won's actually pretty smart, but also seriously annoying. Do-won, sounding all smug, lets everyone know he's about to perform, and even takes a moment to explain it for his clueless brother. He drops the name of the piece, High Mountains and Flowing Waters, like it's something legendary. Cheon suddenly cuts him off, his eyes locked on the teacup. He points out that this song is ranked second out of the 10 legendary tunes, and it's well known because Boya wrote it to mourn Jong Ziki, the only dude who ever really got his music. Do-won couldn't believe how much Cheon knew about music. Cheon just nodded, all confident, like he's got every one of those top 10 songs memorized, and even jams out to them now and then. Out of nowhere, a bunch of noise pops off outside the pavilion. Do-won glances at the door, basically saying, "This is the perfect moment. The guest just pulled up." Mo-baek and Chan are both caught off guard, not really sure what's going on. Do-won let it slip that he called some people over. He couldn't get how nobody was around to hear music this good, especially with a crowd just hanging out outside. Do-won grinned, looking like he had something wild planned. He let everyone know he was bringing in a guest, someone huge. He was talking about the top courtesan in all of Hefei City. Everyone instantly spotted the lady as she walked in, and the crowd started hyping up Chong-yu from Heavenly Pleasure Pavilion. Guys were honestly surprised, trying to figure out why someone famous for being insane at the zither and pipa would show up here. Chong-yu pulled up looking sharp, dressed in some seriously nice clothes. She had this cool vibe around her, almost like flowers and good energy just followed her everywhere. Right behind her, her assistant showed up carrying her instrument. People couldn't help but stare. She looked incredible. Even Mo-baek, who usually kept it cool, went red and couldn't hide how much he was impressed. All around, guys were whispering about how her looks were just as next level as her talent. Chae-young glared at Do-won, clearly not impressed. He thought Do-won was just flexing his power, acting like he was something special because he could bring in someone as important as Chae-young. Chae-young can tell right away that Do-won wants as many people watching as possible, probably to show off and get some attention. He's also hoping Chae-young will judge both his skills and his opponents right there in front of everyone. While Do-won greets the lady, Chae-young quietly thinks he's acting like a kid who can't hide what he's really up to. Do-won turns to face them, rocking a confident grin. He's ready to kick things off and judge their singing, and the way he looks, straight up intense, almost daring, makes it clear he's pumped to show what he can do. While the two clan leaders wandered through the garden, one of them noticed the young masters squaring off for another friendly match this year. The Yuga clan leader kept his cool and asked if things were already decided, just like every other year. But the Namgung clan leader just laughed it off, hinting that something new was about to happen this time. That got Yuga's attention. He wanted to know what was up and wondered if Mo-baek, his own son, had finally leveled up or figured something out. The Namgung leader just smirked, messing with his beard like he was too cool for the room. He tossed out a sarcastic comment about enlightenment, then basically roasted Mo-baek for finally thinking things through. The Yuga leader, though, wasn't really buying any of it. The Yuga leader stays serious, laying out that this duel isn't just about them, it's about their whole clans. He wondered if they should just settle things by putting the escort agency's shipping rights on the line, letting the winner take it all. The leader of the Namgung clan catches on that this sly old guy wants to solve the agency problem with just a duel. He actually finds the whole thing kind of funny. The Yuge leader grins, looking totally sure of himself, while the Namgung leader's face shifts. He suddenly looks serious, almost impressed. Back inside, Changyu gives a quick bow to say thanks for the invite, while Do-won stands there holding his instrument, letting everyone know they're all set and ready to go. The whole place is packed out, and Do-won lets everyone know that the top musician in Anhui just showed up to see what's going down. Do-won looks at Changyu and tells her she's in charge of the evaluation. Then he switches over to Cha-yuan, checking if he's ready to head out and kick off the duel, throwing in a sarcastic jab about whether he's getting nervous. Cheon laughs it off, acting like he's not even nervous and saying he's actually hyped to mess around a bit. Out of nowhere, he throws Do-won a wild challenge. Since they're both in it to win, why not just go for the same song? Everything just went quiet. Do-won stood there, totally locked in on Cheon, not even able to move. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. This challenge was all about pure skill, no tricks, no shortcuts. Do-won just grinned, acting all confident, and agreed to team up, but he made it clear he'd be the one picking the song since he started it. He grabs the piece called White Snow in early spring, trying to look tough, thinking this one's definitely going to trip Cheon up, but Cheon just stays chill, barely reacting like he's not even impressed. He's played that song a bunch of times already and doesn't think it's a big deal. Do-won couldn't help but roast this scholar in his head for faking confidence. He could tell the White Snow move wasn't something you just pick up after a few tries. To him, Cheon was just capping hard, hyping himself up way too much. His eyes locked in with a cold stare, promising to put this scholar in his place so hard that he'd never try to act up again. His fingers started working the pipa strings with real force, letting everyone know the music was about to kick off with some sharp, intense sounds. Changyu and her blind friend could instantly tell something was different with the air in the hall the moment the music kicked in. Even though she can't see anymore, the blind friend says she still pictures every note dropping down, clear as day, almost like she's watching real snowflakes fall. The melody fills the whole place, and everyone watching just can't look away. They're seriously impressed. At the same time, the two clan leaders showed up in the courtyard. They saw a bunch of people hanging out, music playing in the background. Both of them started thinking maybe the younger guys decided to settle things with instruments this year instead of the usual stuff. The clan leader smirked, pretty proud that his son, Do-won, was already playing mind games with his opponent using music before the fight even started. To him, Do-won was clearly sharp for pulling something like that. The Yuga leader looked over at the Namgung leader, surprised. He had never seen Mobek with any kind of instrument, so he wondered if Mobek was actually good at music too. The Namgung leader stands back, watching everything go down. He says the player isn't his son, but it looks like the player's writing teacher has stepped up to handle things instead. Music starts playing through the room while the big boss tries to process who this teacher actually is. Do-won kept going, totally confident, thinking he was already playing like one of the legends. He shoots a quick, annoyed look at Chan, almost laughing to himself. Chan can barely copy sounds but still acts like he's on his level, which is just wild to him. He dials up his energy, kind of calling out Cheyenne without anyone else catching on, basically daring him to step up and risk embarrassing himself in front of everyone. Playing in front of a crowd is no joke, and he knows it. His fingers fly across the strings, moving crazy fast but never missing a note. The pace ramps up fast, almost like a wild snowstorm blasting through the room, and everyone there just gets caught off guard by how intense the beat hits. Do-won's energy moves with the music, turning the whole hall icy and intense. The vibe totally shifts, with everyone feeling the pressure as he takes over the space. Changyu notices how Do-won's quick moves are so charged with energy that it almost looks like snow is flying everywhere. Meanwhile, the blind friend picks up on how Do-won uses sound to fill the silence, showing he's not just messing around, he actually knows what he's doing. The Yugi clan leader watches his son, proud of how far he's come. He remembers starting him off with music just to chill him out since the kid used to get into all kinds of trouble. Do ended up winning, and everyone could tell he was playing on another level, almost like he was copying the pros without even thinking about it. Even before the match really started, it felt like he was getting hyped up to go in and mess with his opponent's confidence right away. Do-won takes a breather, grinning like he's got this in the bag. He throws some shade at Cheon, calling him a cocky newbie and basically dares him to show what he's got, acting like Cheon's skills don't even matter. Che-yan's still thinking about what to say, and the Namgung leader leans over to his wife, quietly asking who she thinks will come out on top. He's honestly surprised at how good Do-won actually is. She gives a chill, confident smile, pretty much saying Cheon's got this in the bag. When her husband just goes quiet, kinda caught off guard, she tells him to trust her vibe. It's just something she knows. Cheon stays totally chill as he runs his fingers over the strings, locked in and not letting anything break his focus. Out of nowhere, Cheon hits his strings with one clean, powerful note. The energy in the room shifts, almost like a wave spreading out. Do-won gets caught off guard and starts trembling, totally rattled by it. The blind companion takes a second to process what's happening, kind of blown away by how they're both playing the same song, but it sounds totally different. He notices Do-won is really locked in on the harsh side of things, almost like he's channeling how cold and brutal the white snow can be. Cheon takes in the song from a whole different angle. For him, it's like the cold finally breaks and spring just shows up out of nowhere. Everything starts to feel warmer and way more alive. Mobek just froze, totally caught off guard by how insane the music was when his teacher's name got played. Meanwhile, Do-won was trying to keep his cool, but you could tell he was stressing, trying to match the beat in his head and thinking his opponent's skills were actually pretty solid. Do-won gets right up in his opponent's face, basically flexing and making it clear he thinks Cheon doesn't stand a chance, no matter what he does. He keeps playing with confidence, not letting up for a second. His eyes lit up, locked in with serious focus. He was ready to go all out, planning to use his insane speed to wipe out every trace of his opponent's moves, just burying everything under the crazy storm he was about to unleash. Cheon grinned to himself, thinking messing with these kids actually gets fun when they try to push his buttons. He figured he might as well pull out the wave technique, no other way around it. Cheyenne channels his energy right to his fingertips and barely brushes the strings of the instrument, keeping his movement smooth and controlled. Right then, Do-won's music started losing its grip, and phantom snow slowly faded out. In its place, glowing butterflies popped up everywhere, lighting up the room. The clan leaders and everyone watching just stared, totally caught off guard by what they were seeing. Butterflies float around and chill on the ground, making it really feel like spring's actually here, even though there's still some snow. Cheon watches all of this, pretty satisfied, noticing how the energy from the 7 stars moves out in waves that just vibe perfectly with the music playing. The crowd in the courtyard went wild, everyone hyped up as the music hit hard. Some people even said it felt like the sound went straight through them, leaving them with goosebumps. Cheon stares at his hand, totally lost in thought, thinking about how he might use this wild energy for stuff like cooking or whatever. Meanwhile, Do-won just stands there completely frozen, his face showing how angry and stunned he is. Do-won suddenly cuts through the quiet, not waiting around and wanting Lady Chongyu's take right away. She gives a quick, respectful bow and calls the performance straight up majestic. The woman clears things up, saying the girl next to her can judge sound way better than she can. She points out that since the girl lost her sight, her hearing leveled up way past normal. Basically, she's got super hearing to make up for not being able to see. Do-won couldn't believe what he just heard. He looked stunned at first, but then his face switched up to straight-up anger. The idea that a blind kid could somehow outdo Haifei's first lady, that seriously got under his skin. He finally gives in, acting like he's above it all. Since she can't see, he figures at least he'll get a fair shot. Nobody's judging by looks this time. He tells her to go ahead and start talking. Do-won stood in front of the blind girl, sweat dripping down his face and his whole vibe tense. He wanted her to settle things once and for all and let everyone know who played better, him or Scholar Cheon.
Lately, I've had a strong addiction to watching manhwa and manga recap videos. Every single day, I find myself binging one after another, losing hours and days doing absolutely nothing productive. And honestly, it's getting out of hand. So, maybe we can make these viral videos too. I mean, look at the views, the growth, the community these creators are building. It looks simple, right? But that's a trap. You go down this endless rabbit hole, spending money, losing sleep, hiring editors and writers from Fiverr and Upwork, and still feel like you've been robbed. Because don't forget how emotional the YouTube algorithm can be with making videos go viral. It's unpredictable, especially when the market's saturated, competition's relentless, and somehow other creators are dropping 10-hour videos daily while you're stuck trying to finish one. That's when I realized something had to change. So, I built the solution, the Webtoon Narrative Suite, a complete one-click system that handles everything from cropping, script narration, text-to-speech, image processing, and full video generation in one smooth process. Save money, reduce hours of work, and have a tool that only gives you straight results. Click on the link down below and experience it for yourself. And if you want even more tools to supercharge your YouTube recap journey, visit my Ko-Fi and Patreon pages where I drop weekly new tools designed to keep you ahead as AI continues to steal our jobs. So tap in now before you get left behind.